She thought texting her new address to her landlord would keep her safe from her violent ex. She was wrong. The message went to the most dangerous man in the city instead, a grieving Mafia boss who'd just left flowers on his wife's grave. When her abusive ex cornered her in a dark alley that same night, this mysterious stranger stepped out of the shadows with dead-cold eyes and a single white rose. What happened next would change 3 lives forever, but not in the way anyone expected. The man who was supposed to destroy her would become her salvation, and she would become his. But when her ex escalates to kidnapping her elderly grandmother, the final confrontation will test whether love born from violence can truly heal a shattered heart. Subscribe and tell me where you're watching from, because this story proves that sometimes the wrong number is exactly the right call. The evening air hung thick and warm as Aaliyah Brooks climbed the narrow stairs to her new apartment. Her arms ached from carrying boxes all day. Each step felt heavy, but she pushed forward. This was it. This was their fresh start. "Baby girl, I don't like this neighborhood," Grandma May said from behind her. "Too many shadows, too many places for bad people to hide." Aaliyah stopped at the top of the stairs. She set down the last box and pulled out her keys. "Grandma, we talked about this. It's all I could afford, and it's clean, safe." May shook her head. Her silver hair caught the dim hallway light. "Safe don't mean much when you got the devil chasing you." Aaliyah's chest tightened. May was right to worry. Darnell had found them at every other place, but this time would be different. It had to be. "Come on, let's get inside." Aaliyah opened the door and helped May through. The apartment was small, but clean. 2 bedrooms, a tiny kitchen, and a living room with 1 window facing the street. Aaliyah had already set up May's bed and arranged her medicines on the kitchen counter. "Sit down, Grandma. I'll make you some tea." While the water boiled, Aaliyah tested the deadbolt. It felt solid. She checked the window locks too. Everything seemed secure. She had to believe it was enough. "We're hidden now," she said softly, more to herself than to May. "He can't find us here." But as she spoke, something moved across the street, a shadow that didn't belong. Aaliyah's heart jumped. She stepped back from the window and closed the curtains tight. Her phone buzzed, a text from Darnell. "You can't run forever, baby." Aaliyah's hands shook as she blocked his number. Again. It was the 3rd time this month. He always found new ways to reach her. "I won't slip again," she whispered to herself. "I won't let him back in." A loud rattle came from the stairwell. Aaliyah grabbed a kitchen knife and held her breath. May looked up from her tea with wide, worried eyes. The sound came again. Metal on metal, like someone trying the locks. Aaliyah crept to the door and listened. Her heart hammered in her chest. She gripped the knife tighter. Then she heard it. A door slam from somewhere down the hall. Just a neighbor coming home late. Aaliyah let out a long breath and put the knife away. "Just nerves," she told herself. "Just nerves." She pulled out her phone to text her landlord. Nina needed to know they were settled in. Aaliyah typed quickly, "Hey, moved in okay, everything looks good. New address is 247 Maple Street, Apt 3B. Thanks for everything." She hit send and put her phone away. Finally, they were safe. The next morning, Aaliyah woke up to her phone beeping. The battery was almost dead, only 5% left. She needed to text the landlord their address again to confirm some paperwork details. She found the message she sent last night and copied the address. When she pasted it into a new message, something felt off. But her phone was dying and May needed her morning pills. Aaliyah hit send without double-checking. "Nina got the address," she said to May as she sorted the pill box. "Everything's official now." After giving May her medicine, Aaliyah grabbed the trash bags. The building had dumpsters in the alley. She didn't like going out back alone, but the garbage needed to go out. The alley was empty and quiet. Too quiet. As Aaliyah lifted the heavy bag into the dumpster, a familiar smell hit her. Cologne. The same expensive brand Darnell always wore. Her blood turned cold. She spun around, scanning the shadows between buildings. Nothing. No one there. "Just your mind playing tricks," she whispered, but her hands shook as she hurried back to the building. She took the stairs 2 at a time and locked the door tight behind her. May sat at the kitchen table, humming softly while she drank her tea. "So you're okay, baby girl?" May asked. "You look spooked." "I'm fine, just tired." Aaliyah checked the windows again. Everything looked normal on the street below. She pulled out her phone to check her messages. The text to Nina showed "delivered" underneath it. But when she looked closer, the contact preview name looked strange. It didn't say Nina, landlord, like it should. It said something else, a name she didn't recognize. Across town, Luca Vitale sat in his car beside the cemetery. The engine was off. The flowers on his passenger seat were white roses, Elena's favorites. He came here every week, but he never stayed long anymore. The visits felt empty now, hollow. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Hey, moved in, okay? Everything looks good. New address is 247 Maple Street, Apt 3B. Thanks for everything." Luca stared at the message. Wrong numbers happened sometimes. People texted him by mistake, usually asking about work or family stuff. But something about this message felt different. Sad. Like whoever sent it was really alone. He should delete it, mind his own business. But his instincts told him to check it out. The streets could be dangerous for someone new to the area, someone who didn't know which blocks to avoid. Luca started the engine. He told himself he was just going to warn the stranger about their mistake, nothing more. The flowers shifted on the seat as he drove through familiar neighborhoods. These streets held memories, some good, most bad. His territory was built on respect and fear in equal measure. When he reached 247 Maple Street, he pulled to the curb and turned off the headlights. The building was old but well kept. Working-class neighborhood. People who minded their own business and kept their heads down. That's when he saw her. Aaliyah carried another trash bag down the front steps. It was late, but May had been cleaning out old boxes and the garbage was piling up. She wanted to get it out before morning pickup. "Aaliyah." She froze, that voice. Deep, familiar, and full of fake sweetness. "Don't run, baby. We need to talk." Darnell stepped out from behind a parked car. He looked good. New clothes, fresh haircut. That charming smile that used to make her heart race. Now it just made her sick. "How did you find me?" she whispered. "Come on, you know I always find you." He walked closer, hands in his pockets, like they were old friends catching up. "You can't keep running from what we had." Aaliyah backed toward the building entrance. "We don't have anything anymore, I told you. It's over." "Nothing's over, till I say it's over." Before panic could swallow her whole, another voice cut through the night. "Excuse me." A man stepped out of the shadows between them. Tall, broad shoulders, dark hair. He moved like water, smooth and quiet. When Aaliyah looked at his face, her breath caught. His eyes were cold as winter, but he spoke gently. "Miss, you dropped this." He held up a flower, a white rose. Aaliyah hadn't dropped anything, but she played along. "Thank you." Darnell looked between them, confused and angry. "Who the hell are you?" The stranger turned toward Darnell. He didn't raise his voice or make threats. He just looked at him. That was enough. Something in those dead, calm eyes made Darnell take a step back. "I think you should leave," the stranger said. Darnell wanted to fight. Aaliyah could see it in the way he clenched his fists, but something about this man made him think twice. After a long moment, Darnell backed away. "This ain't over," he said to Aaliyah. Then he disappeared into the night. Aaliyah stood there, shaking. The stranger turned back to her and offered the rose. "I came because of the text," he said. "The wrong number. You sent me an address by mistake." That's when Aaliyah noticed the tattoo curling around his neck. Professional ink. Expensive. And the way he held himself, like someone used to being in charge, used to being feared. "I don't want any trouble," she said. "Neither do I." He placed a business card on the railing beside her. "For the number, if it keeps routing wrong." Before she could say anything else, he melted back into the shadows, like he had never been there at all. Back upstairs, Aaliyah's hands shook as she tried to piece together the torn card. She'd ripped it up without thinking, scared of what it might mean. But now, sitting at her kitchen table with tape, she needed to see what he'd given her. The card was simple, black with white letters. El Vitale, problems solved. No address, just a phone number. Aaliyah stared at it for a long time. She knew that name. Everyone in the city knew that name, even if they pretended not to. Luca Vitale. Not just dangerous, legendary. The kind of man mothers warned their daughters about. But he'd helped her, saved her from Darnell without being asked. She pulled out her phone and typed, "Thank you for tonight, but I don't need help from men like you. Please lose my number." She read it 3 times before hitting send. Polite but firm. Clear boundaries, even with someone who could probably crush her without breaking a sweat. The response came back fast. "Understood, stay safe." That was it. No argument, no pushing. Aaliyah put her phone away and made herself some tea. May had gone to bed, and the apartment felt quiet, peaceful almost. In the morning, May seemed better, more alert. She let Aaliyah help her shower without complaining, and she ate a full bowl of soup for lunch. The neighborhood's growing on me, May said while they sat by the window. Feels calmer somehow. Aliyah smiled. Maybe we really did find the right place. When she went to check the mail, a single white flower lay on the doormat, the same kind the stranger, Luca, had given her the night before. A ribbon was tied around the stem. Aliyah looked up and down the street. No sign of him anywhere. She picked up the flower and studied the ribbon. It was soft and clean, pretty. Despite everything, she slipped the ribbon into her pocket. 2 days later, Aliyah came home from work to find new locks on her apartment door. High-tech deadbolts with digital keypads, the kind that cost more than she made in a month. Rage and relief hit her at the same time. Someone had violated her space, made decisions for her without permission. But those locks meant safety, real security. She stormed downstairs and found him leaning against a black car at the curb. Luca Vitale. In daylight, he looked even more dangerous, but also tired, like someone carrying weight he couldn't put down. "You crossed a line," she said. "Yes. I told you I don't want your help." "You did." "Then why?" "Because your old locks wouldn't stop a child, let alone your ex." Aliyah wanted to stay angry. She needed to stay angry, but the exhaustion in his voice caught her off guard. "You can't just make decisions for me." "You're right." He straightened up. "What are your rules?" The question surprised her. "What?" "Your rules. For staying safe." "I'll follow them." Aliyah stared at him. No man had ever asked her that before. Darnell had always told her what to do, where to go, how to live. Her father had been the same way before he left. "No coming inside without permission," she said finally. "No watching me through my windows. And you tell me what you're doing before you do it. Done. I pay my own bills. I take care of my own problems. Except for the problems you can't handle alone. I decide which ones those are." Luca nodded. "Anything else? If I say stop, you stop, no matter what." "Yes." From upstairs, May's voice drifted down. "Aliyah, is that the polite gentleman with the flowers?" Aliyah looked up at her grandmother's window, then back at Luca. "She likes you." Smart woman. Despite herself, Aliyah almost smiled. "Don't let it go to your head." They exchanged phone numbers properly this time. When Luca saved her contact, she saw him type, "Aliyah, rules." It should have bothered her. Instead, it felt like respect. As he got in his car to leave, Aliyah called out, "Why are you doing this?" Luca paused with his hand on the door. "Because someone should have done it for her." He drove away before she could ask what that meant. That night, Aliyah tested the new locks. They worked perfectly, smooth and silent and strong. For the first time in months, she slept through the whole night. In the morning, she found the flower ribbon on her nightstand where she'd left it. On impulse, she tied it to a hook by the front door, a reminder that sometimes help came from unexpected places, even if you didn't ask for it, even if you weren't sure you deserved it. 3 days after the locks were installed, Aliyah found a message waiting in the lobby, not on her phone or in her mailbox, on the small table where residents left packages for each other. It was a photo in a cracked frame, a picture of her and May from moving day, taken through the front window. Someone had been watching. Someone had been inside. Aliyah's hands shook as she picked up the broken glass. This wasn't random. This was Darnell's way of saying he could reach them anywhere. "Miss Brooks?" She spun around. A man stood in the doorway, not as tall as Luca, but just as quiet. Dark hair, careful eyes, expensive suit that didn't quite hide the gun under his jacket. "I'm Enzo," he said. "I work with Luca." Aliyah clutched the photo tighter. "How did you—" The building manager called about some maintenance issues. Broken locks, faulty security. Enzo stepped closer and held out his hand. "May I?" She hesitated, then handed him the frame. He studied it for a moment, then carefully picked out each piece of broken glass. "I'll speak with the manager about tightening door access," he said. "New key cards, better cameras. I didn't ask for—" "No, but someone needs to ask." His voice was gentle but firm. That picture wasn't taken by accident. Fear crawled up Aliyah's spine. Darnell had been inside her building, maybe inside her home. That evening, she spent 2 hours mapping out safe routes to work and the grocery store. She planned decoy trips and backup paths, everything she'd learned from running before. Through her window, she could see Luca's car parked across the street. He sat behind the wheel, patient as stone, an armed promise she'd never asked for, but couldn't bring herself to refuse. The flower ribbon hung by her door like a small flag of truce. Aliyah touched it gently before setting a chair under the doorknob and going to bed. The next afternoon, Luca was waiting by the river when Aliyah arrived. She'd agreed to meet him here. Neutral ground, public space. They needed to talk about what came next. He sat on a bench facing the water, feeding breadcrumbs to a small group of ducks. It was such a normal thing to do that it caught her off guard. "Thank you for coming," he said as she sat down beside him. Not too close, just close enough to talk quietly. "The photo in the lobby, Enzo told me." Luca's jaw tightened. "Your ex is escalating, testing boundaries. I know what Darnell's doing." Aaliyah watched the ducks paddle in lazy circles. "I've been running from him for 2 years. I know his patterns. But you've never had backup before." She looked at him then, really looked. In the late afternoon light, she could see lines around his eyes, scars on his knuckles. This wasn't a man who lived an easy life. "Why are you doing this?" she asked. "Really? Don't tell me it's because of some wrong number text." Luca was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was softer than she'd ever heard it. "I used to bring flowers to my wife's grave every week. White roses. Her favorite." He scattered the last of the breadcrumbs. "I brought them for 3 years, every Sunday, rain or shine." "Used to? She died because I wasn't there to protect her, because I arrived too late to stop what happened." He turned to face her. "I hadn't brought flowers to anyone else's door until that night at your building." The honesty in his voice made her chest tight. "I'm sorry." "Don't be sorry, just understand, I can't be late again. Not for you, not for your grandmother." Aaliyah pulled the ribbon from her pocket and smoothed it between her fingers. "Darnell dragged me through 3 different shelters, made me lose 2 jobs, got me evicted twice." She met Luca's eyes. "I will never live in a cage again, not even a pretty one." "I'm not asking you to." "Then what are you asking?" "Let me be visible on your block. Let people know you're not alone, but your life stays yours. Your choices stay yours." It was more than anyone had ever offered her. Protection without possession. Safety without surrender. "Visible deterrent," she said slowly. "But I keep my apartment, my job, my decisions about May. Yes. And if I say back off, I back off." Aaliyah studied his face, looking for the lie underneath. Every man she'd ever known had lied about giving her space, but something in Luca's eyes felt different. Steady, true. "Okay," she said finally. "We cooperate, but we don't surrender." For the first time since she'd met him, Luca almost smiled. Deal. The arrangement worked better than Aaliyah expected. Every morning when she left for deliveries, Enzo would be somewhere on her block, reading a newspaper at the bus stop, buying coffee from the corner store, walking his imaginary dog. Never following, never crowding, just there. It was Tuesday when 2 men tried to rob her. Aaliyah was 3 blocks from home, carrying packages for her delivery route. The men appeared from an alley. One grabbed her bag, the other blocked her path. Before she could scream, Luca stepped out from behind a parked car. The would-be thieves took one look at his face and ran, fast. "You okay?" Luca asked, checking her hands for cuts. "I'm fine," but her voice shook. "How did you—" "Enzo radioed when they started following you." She should have been angry about the surveillance. Instead, she felt grateful, safe. "I don't need an escort," she said. "No, but would you mind if I walked behind you? Far enough back that you barely notice." It was the way he asked, like her comfort mattered more than his need to protect, that made her nod. When she got home, May was waiting with tea and worried eyes. "That nice gentleman called," May said. "Said there was some trouble, but you handled it fine. He called you? Wanted to make sure I didn't worry when you were late." May patted Aaliyah's hand. "I told him you're tougher than you look." That evening, Aaliyah's phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. Just a time and date. Tomorrow, 3 p.m. Darnell was setting an appointment. Aaliyah stared at the message for a long time before forwarding it to Luca. His response came back immediately. "Don't go anywhere alone tomorrow." But Aaliyah had a different idea. She called him that night. "I want to propose something. I'm listening. A temporary arrangement, just until Darnell gets bored and moves on." She took a breath. "I'll accept more security, but only if it follows my rules." They spent an hour working out the details. Code words for different situations, camera routes through the city that she could follow if she felt watched, fixed check-in times that wouldn't interfere with her work or May's routine. For the first time in days, Aaliyah felt like she could breathe properly. The next morning, a woman arrived at their door, older, silver-haired, wearing a simple dress and carrying grocery bags. "I'm Rosa," she said with a warm smile. "Mr. Vitale asked me to bring some things for your grandmother." Aaliyah almost said no automatically, but May was already inviting Rosa inside, excited about the fresh bread and homemade soup. Rosa stayed only long enough to stock May's pantry, and chat about old recipes. She didn't ask personal questions or try to look around the apartment. When she left, May was happier than she'd been in weeks. "Such a nice lady," May said. "Real Italian cooking. You can taste the love in it." That night, Aaliyah looked out her window to check the street. Luca was asleep in his car again, his head tilted back against the headrest. Even unconscious, he looked alert, ready. Without thinking, she grabbed a blanket from the closet and headed downstairs. Luca woke up when she tapped on his window. He rolled it down, instantly alert. "You looked cold," Aaliyah said, offering the blanket. "I'm fine. When's the last time you slept in a real bed?" The question seemed to surprise him. "I sleep fine." "That's not what I asked." He took the blanket but didn't use it. "Your grandmother okay?" "She loves Rosa. Won't stop talking about that soup recipe. Rosa's good people. Worked for my family for years." Aaliyah caught the hesitation. "Your wife?" "Elena would have liked Rosa's cooking." His voice was soft in the darkness. "Would have liked your grandmother too." "May likes you. She calls you the polite gentleman." "Smart woman." They sat in comfortable quiet for a moment. Then Luca said, "There's something you should know. About tomorrow. The meeting time Darnell sent? It's not random. 3 p.m. is shift change for police patrol in this area. 15-minute window where response time is slower." A chill ran down Aaliyah's spine. "He's planned this." "Looks like it, which means he's not just angry anymore. He's thinking like a predator." The word hung between them, ugly and true. "What do you think I should do?" Aaliyah asked. "I think you should consider spending tomorrow night somewhere else. Somewhere safer." "No." The answer was automatic. "I'm not running again." "I'm not asking you to run. I'm asking you to be smart." Aaliyah looked up at her apartment window. May was probably asleep by now, peaceful and safe in her own bed. "If I agreed to one night somewhere else," she said slowly, "what would that look like? My house has good security. Rosa would be there. You'd have your own room, your own space. And you?" "I'd stay out of your way." Aaliyah studied his face in the dim streetlight. "You'd really do that? Give up your own space for people you barely know?" "I've done worse things for worse reasons." Something in his voice made her chest tight. "One night. May and I decide in the morning if we want to stay longer. Deal." As she walked back to her building, Aaliyah realized she wasn't afraid anymore. Not of Darnell, not of Luca, not of whatever came next. For the first time in 2 years, she felt like she had choices. Real choices. And tomorrow, she'd start making them. The next evening, Rosa helped May pack a small bag, while Aaliyah stood in her living room, second-guessing everything. "You sure about this, baby girl?" May asked. "No, but I'm sure about keeping us safe." Luca's house was nothing like she'd expected. Not a mansion or fortress, but a normal 2-story home with a front porch and flower boxes. The only signs of security were the cameras hidden in the eaves and the way Enzo appeared from nowhere when their car pulled up. Inside, everything was clean and organized. Comfortable furniture, family photos on the mantel, books on the shelves. It felt like a home where people actually lived. "Guest room is upstairs," Luca said. "Rosa made soup if you're hungry." "Where will you sleep?" Aaliyah asked. "Couch is fine. This is your house. Tonight it's yours." May settled in quickly, charmed by Rosa's attention and the soft blankets on the guest bed. But Aaliyah paced, feeling trapped even in voluntary safety. "Too quiet?" Luca asked. He stood in the doorway, careful not to come inside uninvited. "Too controlled. Too much. Want to see something?" He led her to a window that faced the backyard. In the moonlight, she could see a small garden, neat rows of vegetables, trellises covered with flowering vines. "Elena's garden," he said. "Rosa keeps it going. It's beautiful." She said growing things helped her remember what she was fighting for. Aaliyah looked at him. "What are you fighting for?" The question seemed to catch him off guard. When he answered, his voice was barely above a whisper. "The chance to be different than I was." Before she could ask what he meant, her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Nice try, but I know where you really live." Attached was a photo of her apartment building, taken from inside her hallway. Darnell had been at her door. Luca saw her face and took the phone. His expression went stone cold. "We'll handle it," he said. "We, you and me, together." For the first time since she'd met him, Aaliyah believed it might actually be true. Outside, the garden swayed in the night breeze, growing wild and strong in the darkness. Aaliyah woke up in a strange bed, sunlight streaming through unfamiliar curtains. For a moment, panic gripped her chest. Then she remembered. Luca's house. Safety. Choice. She found May in the kitchen with Rosa, laughing over breakfast like old friends. The sight made her heart warm and ache at the same time. When was the last time May had looked this relaxed? "There's coffee," Luca said from the doorway. He looked tired but alert, like he'd been awake all night keeping watch. "Did you sleep at all?" "Some." He poured her a cup and set it on the counter. "Your building manager called this morning. They're installing new security today." "Without asking me?" "Enzo asked. On your behalf." Luca's voice was careful. "If you don't want it, I want it." The words surprised her. A month ago she would have fought any change she didn't control. Now, she just felt grateful. After breakfast, May announced she wanted to sit on the front porch. "Haven't had a proper porch in years," she said. "Need some fresh air that doesn't smell like city exhaust." Rosa helped her outside while Aaliyah cleaned up. She was washing dishes when Luca appeared beside her with a dish towel. "You don't have to." "I know." He started drying plates. Rosa usually does this, but she's busy with May. They worked in comfortable silence for a few minutes. Then Aaliyah said, "Thank you for last night, for making May feel welcome. She's easy to welcome." "Not everyone thinks so. Some people see her confusion and get impatient." Luca set down a plate and looked at her. "Anyone who's impatient with your grandmother doesn't deserve to be in your life." The simple certainty in his voice made her chest tight. Outside, May's laughter drifted through the window. Rosa was teaching her card games, and May was winning more often than she lost. "She likes it here," Aaliyah said. "She's welcome to stay as long as she wants, even if that's longer than one night." "Especially then." Aaliyah studied his face, looking for the catch. There was always a catch with men like Luca, but all she saw was quiet honesty. "What happens when Darnell gets tired of games and does something stupid? Then we stop him." "We?" "You tell me what you need, I make it happen." It was the opposite of every relationship she'd ever known. Instead of someone making decisions for her, someone was asking her to make decisions for both of them. "I need to think about it. Take all the time you need." From the porch came May's voice. "Aaliyah, come see this garden. It's like something from a magazine." Aaliyah found May and Rosa examining the vegetable plants. May was running her fingers over tomato leaves, her face bright with interest. "Rosa says your late wife planted all this," May said to Luca. "Must have been a special lady." "She was. I bet she'd be proud of how you're taking care of it, taking care of people." Something flickered across Luca's face. "Pain, maybe, or hope." "I think she'd like you, Mrs. Brooks. Call me May, and I know she'd like our Aaliyah. Hard not to love a girl with that much fight in her." Aaliyah felt her cheeks warm. "Grandma, what? It's true. You've been protecting me since you were barely grown yourself, taking hits so I wouldn't have to." May squeezed her hand. "About time someone wanted to protect you back." The words hung in the morning air, honest and true. That afternoon they returned to the apartment to find new cameras in the hallway and a security guard checking IDs at the front door. The building felt safer, but also more watched. "Too much?" Luca asked as they climbed the stairs. "No, it's good." Aaliyah unlocked their door. "But I need you to promise me something." "What?" "If this gets too complicated, if keeping us safe puts you or your people at risk, you tell me. Don't just disappear one day." Luca stopped walking. "You think I'd abandon you? I think you're smart enough to know when something costs too much, and I think you don't understand what you're worth." The quiet intensity in his voice made her breath catch. Before she could respond, May called from inside. "Aaliyah, there's something on the kitchen table." They found a single envelope, cream-colored and expensive. Aaliyah's name was written on the front, in careful handwriting. "Don't touch it," Luca said. He pulled out his phone and made a quick call. "Enzo's coming up to check it." While they waited, Aaliyah paced. "He was in here, in my home. The locks are new, which means he got in before they were installed." Her hands shook. "What if we'd been here?" "You weren't. That's what matters." Enzo arrived within minutes and examined the envelope carefully before opening it. Inside was a photo, May sleeping in her bed, taken from outside the window, and a note. "Pretty flowers won't save you." Aaliyah's knees went weak. May looked at the photo and went very quiet. "Baby girl," May said softly. "Maybe it's time to call the police." "The police won't stop him," Aaliyah said. "They'll file a report and tell us to be careful." "Then what do we do?" Aaliyah looked at Luca. His face was stone cold, but his eyes burned. "We end it," she said. That evening, while May napped, Luca taught Aaliyah a simple self-defense move in the kitchen, how to break free if someone grabbed her wrist, how to use an attacker's weight against them. His hands hovered near hers, guiding without gripping, never touching without permission. "Like this," he said, demonstrating the twist that would free her arm. Sharp and fast. Don't hesitate. Aaliyah tried the move, fumbling at first. I feel stupid. You feel unpracticed. There's a difference. They ran through it again and again, until the motion felt natural. Better, Luca said. But remember, the goal isn't to fight. It's to get away. What if I can't get away? Then you fight dirty and you scream loud. Rosa appeared in the doorway with fresh soup and a knowing smile. Soup is a love language, she said to no one in particular. My nonna always said so. Aaliyah pretended not to hear, but her cheeks warmed anyway. They ate at the counter instead of the table. It felt less formal, less like a family they weren't sure they could be yet. This is good, May said, savoring Rosa's soup. Reminds me of my mama's cooking. Old family recipe, Rosa said, passed down through 4 generations. That's the best kind, the kind that carries love with it. Luca caught Aaliyah's eye across the counter. Something passed between them, warm and fragile and new. After dinner, while Rosa helped May with her evening routine, Aaliyah found Luca on the small balcony outside the kitchen. He was looking out at the city lights, lost in thought. Penny for your thoughts, she said, thinking about Elena. She would have liked tonight. Yeah? She always said I was too serious, needed more family dinners and easy conversations. He turned to her. She would have liked you. You don't know that. I do. She had a thing for stubborn women who stood up for what mattered. Aaliyah leaned against the railing. Tell me about her. She was a teacher, 2nd grade, loved kids, loved books, loved making people laugh. His voice grew soft. She used to leave me little notes in my lunch, terrible jokes and reminders to smile. How long were you married? 5 years. She got pregnant 2 years ago. We were going to name the baby Sophia. Aaliyah's chest ached for him. I'm sorry. They died because someone wanted to hurt me, because I couldn't protect them. That wasn't your fault. Wasn't it? He looked at her with haunted eyes. I brought danger to their door, just like I'm bringing it to yours. No. Aaliyah stepped closer. You're keeping danger away from my door. There's a difference. For a moment they stood in the quiet, city lights twinkling below them. Can I ask you something? Luca said. Sure. When did you know you had to leave him? Darnell. The question caught her off guard. Most people asked why she stayed so long. No one ever asked about the moment she decided to go. He hit May, she said simply. I could take whatever he did to me, but when he raised his hand to her, she shrugged. That was the line. You left that night? That hour. Packed what we could carry and walked out while he was at the bar. She touched the railing. Been running ever since. You won't have to run anymore. The promise in his voice made her heart race and her defenses rise in equal measure. Don't make promises you can't keep. I don't. They looked at each other in the dim light. Something shifted between them. A door opening. A wall coming down. Before either could speak, May's voice called from inside. Aaliyah, can you help me with these pills? The moment broke, but gently, like something fragile being set aside for safekeeping. Later that night, Aaliyah lay in her own bed for the first time in days. The apartment felt different now, safer but also temporary, like a stop on a longer journey instead of a destination. Her phone buzzed. A text from Luca. Everything quiet on your block. Sleep well. She typed back, thank you for everything. Thank you for trusting me. Aaliyah stared at those words for a long time. Trust. When was the last time she'd really trusted anyone besides May? Maybe it was time to try. The next morning brought rain and another message from Darnell. This one was different. Not a threat or a warning. Just 2 words. Last chance. Aaliyah showed it to Luca when he came by to check the new security cameras. He's done playing games, Luca said. Good. So am I. Aaliyah, no. I'm tired of being afraid. Tired of looking over my shoulder. Tired of making May live like we're criminals hiding from the law. What do you want to do? The question was simple, but it changed everything. No one had ever asked her what she wanted to do about her own problems. I want my life back, she said. I want May to feel safe in her own home. I want to walk down the street without checking every shadow. Then we make that happen. How? Luca was quiet for a moment. There are ways to make someone understand they need to find a new hobby, ways that don't involve you getting hurt. Legal ways? Mostly. Aaliyah studied his face. She was asking him to cross lines for her, lines he might not be able to uncross. What would it cost you? Less than losing you would. The honesty in his voice took her breath away. Okay, she said, but we do this together. I don't hide while you handle my problems. Aaliyah. Together, Luca. Or not at all. For the first time since she'd met him, he smiled, really smiled. It transformed his whole face, made him look years younger. Together, he agreed. Outside, the rain washed the streets clean, preparing the city for whatever came next. And for the first time in 2 years, Aaliyah wasn't afraid of it. The van came from nowhere. Aaliyah was walking back from the pharmacy with May's medication when the dark vehicle jolted from a side street. 2 men jumped out, moving fast and purposeful. "Get in the van," one of them said, grabbing Aaliyah's arm. Before she could scream, Luca's team appeared like ghosts. Enzo cut off the van's escape route with his car. 2 other men flanked the attackers from behind. It was over in less than a minute. The would-be kidnappers found themselves surrounded, outnumbered, and clearly outmatched. They dropped their hands and backed away. "Wrong neighborhood," Enzo said quietly. "Wrong target." The men practically ran back to their van and disappeared. Aaliyah stood on the sidewalk, shaking, but unharmed. Her prescription bag had fallen, pills scattered across the concrete. She knelt to collect them, her hands trembling. Luca appeared beside her, helping gather May's medication. "You okay?" he asked. "I'm fine. Just scrape my hands a little." But her voice shook. "May, Rosa took her for ice cream 3 blocks away. She's safe." The fear was pure and clean and clarifying. Darnell wasn't going to stop. He would keep escalating until someone got hurt. Until May got hurt. Aaliyah stood up and looked Luca in the eye. "End it," she said. He nodded once. "Consider it done." That night, Luca disappeared for 3 hours. When he came back to check on them, there was something different in his eyes, quieter, darker. "It's handled," he said simply. "Handled how?" "The men who tried to grab you won't be working for anyone for a while, and their employer understands that bothering you is bad for business." Aaliyah wanted to ask more questions, but part of her didn't want to know the answers. What about Darnell? Still out there, but his hired help just quit. They sat in May's living room while she slept, the TV playing softly in the background. Normal sounds for a normal evening, except nothing felt normal anymore. "You didn't have to do that for us," Aaliyah said. "Yes, I did." "Why?" Luca was quiet for a long moment. "Because I failed to protect Elena, failed to protect my daughter. I won't fail again. This isn't about them anymore, is it?" He looked at her then, his eyes full of something she was afraid to name. "No, it's not." Before she could respond, her phone buzzed. A message from a number she didn't recognize. "You took my business away. Now I take yours. The old lady for you. River Warehouse, midnight. Come alone." Aaliyah's blood turned to ice. "He has May." But when she ran to May's room, the bed was empty. Window open. No sign of struggle, but May's favorite sweater was gone. "How?" Aaliyah whispered. "Rosa was supposed to—" "Rosa's fine," Enzo said from the doorway. His face was grim. "But May went for a walk while she was making dinner. Said she wanted to see the sunset by the river." Aaliyah's knees gave out. Luca caught her before she hit the floor. "We'll get her back," he said. "He could hurt her. She's confused. She might not understand. May's tougher than you think, and smarter." Luca helped her to the couch. "She survived 74 years before you started protecting her. She'll survive this." Aaliyah pulled out her phone and opened the location app. May's phone showed her at the old warehouse district by the river. "I have to go," she said, standing up. "No, you stay here, my team." He said, "Come alone. If he sees your people, he might—" She couldn't finish the thought. "I'm not letting you walk into a trap. Then follow me, but from a distance. Let me get May out, then do whatever you need to do." Luca stared at her for a long moment. "You're sure about this?" "I'm sure about May. Everything else we figure out later." She grabbed the flower ribbon from its hook by the door and tied it around her wrist. A reminder of where this all started. A promise that it would end better than it began. The warehouse district was dark and empty, full of shadows and the smell of river water. Aaliyah found the building from the GPS coordinates and took a deep breath. Her phone buzzed with a text from Luca. "I'm here. You're not alone." Inside the warehouse, a single light illuminated the center of the space. Darnell stood there with May beside him. Her grandmother looked small and frail, but her eyes were alert. "Let her go," Aaliyah said, walking into the light. "This is between you and me." "You're right about that," Darnell said. He looked the same as always. Handsome, charming, dangerous. "You cost me money today, made me look weak." "Good. That attitude is why we're here." He tightened his grip on May's arm. "You always thought you were better than me, smarter, stronger." "I was right." Darnell's smile turned ugly. "We'll see about that." May looked at Aaliyah with steady eyes. "Don't you worry about me, baby girl. I've seen worse men than this one." Shut up, old woman. Don't talk to her like that, Aaliyah said, stepping closer. I'll talk to her however I want, just like I used to talk to you. Darnell's voice turned sweet and poisonous. Remember how good we were together? How much you needed me? I remember how much I feared you. Same thing. No, it's not. Aaliyah kept talking, keeping Darnell focused on her while she moved closer to May. She needed to get between them, needed to put herself in the line of danger instead of her grandmother. You know what the difference is between fear and love? She asked. What? Love doesn't need chains. She lunged forward, grabbing May and pushing her toward the shadows. Darnell reached for his gun, but he wasn't fast enough. Luca appeared from the darkness like an avenging angel. The takedown was swift, brutal, and final. Darnell hit the concrete floor and didn't get up again. Afterward, Luca stood over him, shaking slightly. For the first time since she'd known him, the armor had cracks in it. It's over, she said softly. Luca turned to her, his eyes haunted. I could have lost you, but you didn't. I could have been too late. Again. Aaliyah reached for him, careful and slow. When he didn't pull away, she touched his face. You weren't late. You were exactly on time. May cleared her throat from behind them. Not to interrupt, but can we get out of this awful place? It smells like old fish and bad decisions. Despite everything, Aaliyah laughed. Later, back at Luca's house, May sat in the kitchen with Rosa while they bandaged the scrape on her wrist. She was more shaken than she wanted to admit, but she was alive, safe. Scared me worse than you've ever been scared, May told Aaliyah. Thought I might not see you again. You'll always see me again, Grandma. Always. I know that now, because you got yourself a good man, the kind who shows up when it matters. Aaliyah found Luca on the back porch, staring at Elena's garden. His hands were clean, but she could see the weight of the evening in his shoulders. You okay? She asked. I killed a man tonight. To save me. To save May. Still killed him. Aaliyah sat beside him on the steps. Do you regret it? No, that's what scares me. He turned to look at her. I would have done anything to keep you safe. Anything. I know. That doesn't worry you. Should it? Most people would think so. Aaliyah considered this. Most people haven't lived the life I've lived. Most people haven't needed the kind of protection you can give. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, listening to the night sounds of the city. I have something for you, Luca said finally. He pulled a small box from his pocket. Not what you think, he added quickly when her eyes widened. Open it. Inside was a key. Simple. Silver. New. To what? This house. If you want it. If you want to stay. He took a breath. If you want to build something together. Aaliyah held the key, feeling its weight. What about May? Rosa's already planning to turn the guest room into a permanent space. If May wants it. And if I say yes? What does that make us? Partners. Equals. Whatever we decide we want to be. Aaliyah looked at the garden, at the vegetables growing strong and wild in the darkness. Elena's garden, tended with love and hope for the future. I want to be the kind of people who grow things, she said, who plant seeds and trust they'll bloom. Even knowing the ground might be rocky, especially knowing that. Luca reached for her hand, careful and gentle. When she didn't pull away, he laced their fingers together. I love you, he said quietly. I know it's too soon and I know you might not. I love you too. The words surprised them both, but they felt true, real. Even after tonight, especially after tonight. She squeezed his hand. You kept your promise. You protected us without trying to own us. I'll always protect you. I know. And I'll always choose to stay. From inside came the sound of May laughing at something Rosa had said. Normal sounds, happy sounds, home sounds. Think May will like living here? Luca asked. Are you kidding? Rosa's cooking, a garden to tend, and Rosa to spoil her. She'll never want to leave. Good. I like having family around. Family. The word hung in the air between them, full of promise and possibility. Is that what we are? Aaliyah asked. If you want to be. She thought about everything that had brought them to this moment. A wrong number text. A man with flowers and sadness in his eyes. A grandmother who saw goodness where others saw danger. Love that grew in the space between protection and freedom. Yeah, she said. I want to be. 3 months later, on a bright Saturday morning, they stood together at Elena's grave. May had insisted on coming, supported by Rosa on one side and Luca on the other. Aaliyah placed fresh white roses on the headstone, while Luca spoke quietly to his wife. Thank you for teaching me that love isn't about holding on, he said. It's about being brave enough to let go when someone needs space, and brave enough to fight when they need protection. May patted his arm. She's proud of you, honey. I can feel it. Aaliyah wore a simple ring on a necklace, not on her finger yet, but close to her heart. They were moving at their own pace, building trust day by day. Ready to go home? Luca asked. Yeah. Aaliyah threaded the flower ribbon through her keys where it belonged now. Home sounds perfect. They left the cemetery together, May chattering about the soup she wanted to make for dinner, Rosa planning improvements to the garden, Luca and Aaliyah walking hand in hand. Behind them, the white roses caught the morning light, a promise that love could bloom even in the darkest soil, that protection and freedom could grow side by side, that sometimes the wrong number turns out to be exactly the right call. And in the distance, their house waited. Doors open, garden growing, family gathering around a table set for four. Home, at last.